Hello and welcome to the next in the series of In the Money media videos for the Kentucky Derby. In this video, we are going to be previewing the Florida Derby, key Kentucky Derby prep race action at the weekend. Historically, this prep incredibly relevant. Will it be so again? We're going to talk about it in this video. We encourage you to comment. We're going to do a comment contest at the end of this video where we ask you to give out the exacta for the Florida Derby. And we're going to kick off this video by awarding the winner from a previous comment contest. I was very impressed with the fellow who agreed with me. So I don't know if that makes this self-serving or whatnot. But B. Bailey, 47, put in our long shots outside the top 10 video that he's really interested in domestic product, having run the fastest final quarter of any winning horse in a Derby prep race so far. Good fact there from Mr. Bailey, and we encourage you to drop a comment here giving us the exact. We'll remind you again at the end of the video. But let's move on to the big question. PTF and JK here. JK, the biggest question in this race, we've got a sizable favorite. He didn't look very good, in my opinion, the last time he was on the racetrack. His name is Fierceness. What do you think about him here?
Well, I agree. I think that when you look at Fierceness, you have to make a decision on whether or not you believe his last performance or if you believe his previous performance, and which one is Fierceness. And look, I'm a believer that what we saw on debut from him, although it might have been very racetrack aided that day on his debut at Saratoga, he ran extremely fast that day. And then if you look at what he did in the juvenile, against a group of horses like Timberlake, who's in our top 10, horses like Locked, who was in our top 10. I just feel like he is the real deal. He just wasn't quite cranked up and ready to go on debut as a 3-year-old. And I think that if you look at it objectively, if you owned or trained Fierceness, would you want to tighten the screws all the way and get his best lifetime performance in the Holy Bull? No. I think that you would say, let's get him ready to go. Let's get him out there and let's look at this from a progressive standpoint. Let's have him run well in the Holy Bull. Probably want him to run a little bit better than he did. Let's have him run extremely well in the Florida Derby, and let's have him run his best lifetime race the first Saturday in May. I'm still believing that that's the pattern that they're on, and I think Fierceness will win the Florida Derby and will thrust himself back into the conversation of being at the top of this list of 3-year-olds.
I'm taking the more cynical view. I mean, we're not talking about screws that weren't tightened. We're talking about wheels that were off, in my opinion, in the race we saw in the Holy Bull. I just can't fully trust him at a short price, though I certainly recognize that he is among the most likely winners in the race. So I'm going to hang on to my selection in this race until a little bit later in the video. A couple more horses I want to ask you about first. But before we get to that, do want to tell you that this video is sponsored by our friends over at Rein. Terrific coffee company if you're a coffee drinker. And honestly, what horse player isn't when you have to, study these races late at night, etc. They encourage folks to get up and get after it. I absolutely love that little phrase, very descriptive of the horse playing process in general, as well as the coffee drinking process. And we've got great news. We've got a promo code right now, money20, money20, for 20% off site-wide. If you go to the Rein website and check that out, I think you'll join us in being people who really like Rein coffee. Check out their website. Once again, money20 for 20% off store-wide. Horse that has to be talked about, JK, when we analyze this year's Florida Derby is the horse that got the job done back in the Holy Bull. Hasn't been seen since. His name is Yates. He's only had 3 starts. He hasn't been beaten. How serious of a threat do you think he is to Fierceness and all the rest on Saturday?
Well, look, I mean, the last time that they raced against each other, one of them was looking at the other one's rear end the other time, and the other one didn't see the other ones, right? So Yates has already proven that he can beat Fierceness. I just think a different version of Fierceness is going to show up. But Yates does have recency over Fierceness. He also has some tactical speed, I think, which is always dangerous in dirt racing. And he's a horse that could be progressing. He can take another step forward if and it wouldn't be outside the realm of possibility. So I think Yates is definitely dangerous, especially with the style that he possesses against this group. The main contenders in here, even like a horse like Conquest Warrior, we still don't know exactly who he is, right? Beat a nice allowance field. but he still has a lot to prove as well. So I think Hades is definitely a viable candidate to win the Florida Derby.
I think there's plenty of speed in here. Looking at the pace map on Time Form US, just looking at pace figures generally, there's a bit of a glut of horses that might end up showing speed, including Fierceness, including Hades, including a runner like maybe Seminole Chief or Ladam Bro. Going to be very interesting to see how this pace shakes out and who it favors. I'm hoping we get a little bit of a scrum on the front end here, going this mile and an eighth. I think that could play into the hands of the horse that you mentioned, Conquest Warrior. Believe me, Conquest Warrior isn't the horse that I would want as the favorite. He has to prove it, as you indicated. But here's the thing about Conquest Warrior. All three of his efforts, in my opinion, are better than they look on paper. I think you can make a strong case looking at his internal sectionals that this is the best closer in the bunch. And it's not like he's some plotter. This is a horse who has enough tactical speed to be in position with those four potential speed horses I mentioned. They'll be in front of him, but I don't know how far they're going to be in front of him. I'm hoping he can run to the potential that he's shown. His recent workouts look very forward. I think he's a very appealing 4 or 5 to 1 type shot that could get the job in here. JK, are you buying my case at all, or do you think I'm over in the corner eating paste?
Wow, that's dangerous, Pete. Don't do that. I like Conquest Warrior as an individual, and I like him in this spot if Fierceness doesn't show up. The one thing I will say about these two horses, Conquest Warrior and Fierceness, what a great advertisement for our friends at Lanes Inn, right? City of Light, both of them by City of Light. Conquest Warrior was $1 million purchase. What that tells me is that his pedigree suggests that more distance isn't going to be a problem. You don't spend $1 million on a horse that's going to be a sprinter. And it also tells me that physically he checks all of the boxes. So as he matures into that body, he's going to continue to get better. I have no problems with Conquest Warriors taking another step forward. I wouldn't be shocked at all if this horse runs, beats this group by 5 lengths at the end of the day if he continues to improve. The one thing I am very confident about is that a City of Light is likely going to win the Curlin Florida Derby.
I'll definitely have a little City of Light exacta going in here. I do respect Fierceness. What's your exacta? People out there, participate in our comment contest. You'll be featured in a future video. Let us know your exacta. Make my life easy. Use horse names, but numbers count too. We've counted those in the past. But give us that information in the comments, and we'd love to feature you as well. One of the things we love to do on these videos and over on our podcast as well. We'll encourage you again to subscribe to this channel, click the notifications bell, drop a comment, all things that help us tremendously. And if you like our act, we've got a fantastic deal coming up for you on our In the Money Plus service. You get extra shows on the podcast side. You get digests of all the picks we do on the shows, special content for Keeneland coming up. And if you sign up now, 1 month, you get all of our Keeneland stuff as well as our vaunted Kentucky Derby package, all for the price of 1 month. That's just $20. InTheMoneyPodcast.com/plus, the place to check that out. For JK, I'm PTF. Until the next time, may you win all your photos.